immediate past Secretary General of the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, Mohamed Barkindo, was given a presidential reception today by the Nigerian government led by President Muhammadu Buhari. Mohamed Barkindo, who recently exited as the head of OPEC as his tenure expired in Vienna, was described as a worthy ambassador of Nigeria, one of the leading lights of the oil-producing group. Here are excerpts of the presidential reception.
On behalf of the government and people of Nigeria, let me start by welcoming you back home after 6 years of meritorious service at the helm of affairs as the fourth Opec'S Secretary General from Nigeria. You have indeed been a worthy ambassador of our country. We are proud of your achievements before and during your appointment at OPEC and the proud legacies you will leave behind. Your time in charge of affairs of OPEC has been a very challenging time for the global oil industry. Oil producers were finding it difficult to come together to address the challenges that was crippling the oil market. Not long after the world was faced with the coronavirus pandemic that sent crude oil prices spiraling down at an alarming rate, you showed incredible leadership to rally industry players and push through the turbulent times. There is no doubt that your efforts in putting together the Declaration of Cooperation, which is the largest in the history of OPEC and the global oil industry, and also the longest in duration in the history of the organization. This was a Herculean task. You have given experienced administrative management to OPEC in the past 6 years, and your efforts have placed the organization in a stronger position to confront the challenges it will face in the coming years. The government and people of Nigeria are indeed proud of you and your achievements.
Let me start by thanking you, Mr. President, for giving time out of your busy schedule to honor our illustrious son, Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo, on this auspicious occasion of his successful completion of his 6-year meritorious service as the OPEC Secretary General after serving the maximum allowed 2 terms. Mr. Barkindo was appointed the OPEC Secretary General through a highly competitive process. He assumed the position on 1st August 2016 during a very challenging time in the oil industry. At that time, Mr. President, oil producers were finding it difficult to come together to address a supply glut that was crippling the oil market. As soon as Mr. Barkindo took over, the desperately sought cooperation agreement among producers that seemed to defy possible solutions and eluded the wisdom of the wise men started to take shape. All global players in the industry applauded and hailed him as the proverbial Daniel that ascended the throne. Mr. Barkindo has since steered the heavily loaded OPEC Plus ship through several life-threatening, turbulent waters against all formidable obstacles.
It was a distinct honor, and may I say, an honor of a lifetime, for you to have given me the opportunity to serve as OPEC Secretary General number 28 from 2016 to 2022. I will forever remain grateful for your hospitality, for your generosity, for your trust in me to plunge into the turmoil that we had in 2016, as elaborated upon by Minister Timmy Silva. Little did we know, Mr. President, that when we signed the Declaration of Cooperation Framework on the 10th of December 2016 in Vienna, bringing together 23 oil-producing and exporting countries from both OPEC and non-OPEC in order to begin to work together for the first time in history to restore stability to the market that was completely in dislocation as a result of the downturn that Minister Silva referred to. Your Excellency, I recall vividly that when I assumed office in Vienna in the summer of 2016, prices had plunged to -$10 a barrel as a result of the buildup of inventories, stocks of both crude oil and petroleum products around the world to a level that was never seen in history. It had reached over 400 million barrels a day over the industry's 5-year average, and hence prices plunged to -$10. It was very obvious to me, Mr. President, that this was beyond OPEC alone to address. And therefore, we needed to get the support of other leading producers around the world. And I recall I did consult with you during that time on telephone, and I indeed drank from your fountain of wisdom and from your deep reservoir of knowledge of OPEC and global affairs, and your advice and guidance worked. I set out to various capitals around the world to try to persuade them to understand the gravity of the situation and the need for them to urgently join hands with OPEC. I did explain to them they didn't have to be full members of OPEC, but we could work together in a framework of cooperation. And on the 10th of December, we signed this historic agreement in Vienna, and on the 1st of January, we started working together, and alhamdulillah, we were able to assist the oil market to restore stability to this market. We were able to bring down this unprecedented level of stocks to the industry average.